Hello, this is Simon from Film Stories, and usually when I put a video together, I've got some idea quite where it's going to end, roughly quite where it's going to start. But I've got to confess, this particular video does not find me in the best of moods. This is the week here in the UK where we've got the announcement that Total Film magazine is coming to an end after 27 years, that Home Cinema Choice magazine is coming to an end after 365 issues. Play magazine is coming to an end after two different stints that date right the way back to the 1990s. That a whole bunch of websites employing people that some know, some respect, some I don't know, but read their work, are laying people off, downsizing, cutting freelancers. And I want to talk about what we're losing in the midst of all of this. And so on the print side first, I mean, if you look there, right, all of that, you can only see a little bit. You can probably see some of the lever arch files there as well. They're print magazines. Now, I am admittedly quite an old-fashioned nerd, but I am a real passionate believer in print media, to the point where I've gambled my career on it. I have spent savings that I didn't have on it. I believe in it so much. I've gambled my metaphorical house on it. Up there on the shelves, I don't think you can see, it's a whole bunch of print books as well. And sure, I read things on websites, I read things on a Kindle, but I believe in the permanence and power of print media. Now, I believe in physical media when it comes to films as well. You'll see lots of DVDs and Blu-rays back there as well. But there is something indelible and important about print. I've always believed it. I've always loved. When I was a kid, I used to love getting computer magazines. I would get so excited. I'm a sad sack, right? I get so excited the night before knowing one of them was coming out, one of the magazines that I really like, because someone had taken the time to curate for me over a number of pages things that I'd be interested in. And it's very rare I don't, to this day, pick up a magazine and come out of it the other side knowing something I didn't know beforehand. And what print allows you to do, what Total Film magazine, I know I'm like a rival magazine or whatever, but nonetheless, I've bought Total Film since day one. What Total Film magazine allows you to do, say you've got a magazine, I don't know, 114 pages, something like that. You get 20, 30 pages of the stuff that you sell on the front cover. And we all do it. I do it with my magazines as well. I publish 2 film magazines, which I've started out of my own pocket. I play the same tricks, right? Then the rest of the magazine, you get to do the stuff usually that just surprises people or interests you or something a bit different. You don't get this with a website. With a website, you generally go, the vast majority of people who go to a website, I'm coming to this in a minute, go through Google and you go to find one thing, and ordinarily once you've found that one thing, you move on. With a print magazine, it doesn't work like that. And so you can't guarantee when you're putting a magazine together, and I mean, one of my magazines is 168 pages, that every page is going to get read. But you know that what you're doing is you're designing a curated piece of literature that across 168 pages, in my case, someone can leaf through and hopefully just take their interest. You take them by surprise. You do things they don't expect as well as sort of deliver what they do. Total Film issue 1, and I've been a fan of Total Film right from the start, did that. Total Film, had innovations like the predicted interest curve, which actually came from a video game magazine, but I'd never seen it applied to film magazines before. It had the expert section at the back. It was willing to just go off peak and try off peak. Probably went off peak as well, I don't know, and try things. Whether you like the magazine or not, here was a bunch of people curating a monthly collection of film and TV as it migrates over time, but film. And it's indelible. Once you've printed something, that's it. Contrast that with a website. I like websites as well, but I've been writing quite a lot about this week because I've been in a very angry mood. With a website, stuff can be deleted. Stuff can be changed. Stuff can be altered. In fact, I'll come to Google in a second, but this is happening like every day that there's a website called archive.org, which is brilliant, which archives, as it suggests, the history of website, takes snapshots of website, it collates books that otherwise you wouldn't be able to read. Obviously, it's been sued by very rich publishers for doing so. Its aim is preservation, and thank God it exists, because I have written for an assortment of online sites. I did Den of Geek for a very long time. And the number of articles and things that I've written in the past that no longer exist is in three figures. There are interviews I've done that have gone. There are features that I've done that are gone. Reviews, news stories, entire websites I used to write for are gone. The archive of material is gone. It's on a hard drive on my computer, at least most of it is, but it's gone. You can't do that with print. I can pull out, and I do this a lot on my podcasting as well, I can pull out any one of those print magazines and you'll find something in the margins you weren't expecting. There's just something, usually in a print magazine. And I mean, I have spent way too much of my life, which I don't regret, just reading them. Never mind writing them, but just reading them. And I went through Euston Station today, and the WH Smiths in Euston Station has just shrunk its magazine section down. The reason it's shrinking its magazine section down is partly we don't buy as many of them, but also it's getting harder and harder and harder to afford to produce a magazine. So I think this whole ecosystem has to change. I think magazines are something worth fighting for. I'm determined to fight for them. I'll continue to do them. But there's a whole bunch of stuff in the midst of it all. Firstly, for the stuff that I do, I can't even afford to get the majority of them in newsagents now, because a newsagent will charge you thousands just to get listed in their shop. The post office keeps putting the price up of postage. What do? Do you absorb that cost? Do you pass it on? You try and make it economical to people. You don't want print to be a luxury thing. You want it to be something like day to day that, almost setting out. Yeah, I'd love to go and get a magazine. I'd love to read a magazine. There are all these challenges ahead of us, but also they're thrown into the corporate cookie cutter machine that if something doesn't make a massive profit, or if all it does is just make a few quid or something like that, it's not worth doing anymore. And it just frustrates the life out of me. People, I write about films that people go into knowing that they won't make a penny at any point, but it doesn't matter. They make them because they then exist. They are, again, indelible. They will go on for years and years and years and years. And in 10, 15 years' time, a nerd like me might find them and it might unlock something else. The studios that we work with, they love print because they understand, in fairness to them, that print has something that a website hasn't. There's a degree of curation to it. And again, once a print magazine front cover still has some degree of value. I actually think it's all the pages in the magazine that are the best bit. I hate doing front covers. Front covers are the hardest bit. I'm wrestling with one at the moment. That notwithstanding, these magazines are disappearing. They're disappearing before our eyes. This week, we've lost two that I've read for decades, and I'm really, really upset, and I'm really sad about it. And I would just urge you that if you, in the same way that if you care about DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K discs, go and buy them. If you like magazines, it doesn't matter whether it's mine or someone else's, just go and buy them. Go and support them. They are aching for your support now, and the big corporations are getting less and less interested in making them, and it's down to us. If we care about them, we've got to keep this going. On the website side of things, by God, I don't know where to start. This is, I mean, back when I was launching Den of Geek, back in the 2007, the whole world was a mile different. There was something idealistic about it, that you could write an article that you thought might interest someone and put it onto the internet, and there's a good chance they can find it. Pretty much those days are gone, and there's still bits, there's still like green shoots of hope in there somewhere, but the majority of people now are coming to websites through Google, and what Google is demanding of websites is just frankly depressing. If you are fed up of websites that just give you a clickbait headline to an article, then you have to scroll through hundreds of words just to get to the answer of that clickbait headline, you got Google to thank. You've also got the companies and the outlets that followed what Google suggested. But if you didn't follow that way of doing it, and I don't follow that way of doing it, then you don't make the first page of the Google search results. And as a result, it's much harder to get traffic to your website. If it's harder to get traffic to your website, it's harder to get advertising to your website. If it's harder to get advertising to your website, well, if you've got a staff of 10, 15 people, how are you going to pay them? I don't have a staff of 10, 15 people, but this is how the model works. If you don't play the Google game, what chance have you got of scaling up? And it's incredibly difficult. It's even worse when you throw in what's been going on with social media. But let's just focus on what's happening with websites at the moment. Google has done a bunch of changes over the last year and a half. It's got this helpful content update. And the idea of the helpful content update is, in theory, it delivers, inverted commas, helpful content. Now, I'm old enough to not like the word content to describe an article or a film or a TV show, but I'll swallow this just for the purposes of getting this point across. What has happened instead is Google is rewarding sites that write material that people engage with. So if you do Reddit, that's fine. If you write the horrible pseudo-porny stuff on the Daily Mail Online, and you see all of their comments, that's fine. It will reward stuff like that. Also, though, you have to write your articles for Google in a way that the Google search bots or whatever can understand. So if I was to write an article, I don't know, maybe there's a film coming out called Mr. Pigeon Goes for a Walk. And if I just went off on a flight of fancy, about, well, I've never seen a film like this before, blah, 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 it's done this, done that, done that, I wouldn't stand an awful lot of chance of getting noticed. If I did it in a series of subheads, not in a natural way a human always wants to read it, a series of subheads, just doing a bunch of old factual stuff, bang, 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 bang. Google likes that. Google will reward that. You also have to put in a link to that and cross over with that and make sure you use that search term loads and loads of times throughout there, because then Google will think, oh, that's a quality piece of material. To which I say, what does Google know? Really, they are not employing human beings to read this. You do not have this problem with magazines. You can't have a computer reading a magazine. It has to be a human being. Websites are now, news websites are increasingly, this is the drum that I bang, they are writing material that a computer has suggested that they write. There are tools suggesting you what to write. They are writing the article in the way that the computer wants you to write it. And then it is being presented on a site in a way that a computer can understand. Where's the human? Where is the human being in the midst of all of that? Where's the bit where you can just take a left turn and surprise a reader? Where's the bit where you can just go a little bit mad? You can't. Not if you're playing the Google game. You've got to get those advertising dollars in, and you've got to pay people. And I get it. I understand why so many websites have done this, because what choice have you got if you want to employ people? What choice have you got if you want to grow and build a business? And it's pretty much impossible. This is why, more than ever, print is really, really, really important, because there isn't a man baby running a social media site that can affect a print magazine. There isn't how do I put it without swearing? I'm trying to be very good. There isn't a mega conglomerate search engine company that can change what it wants to do on a whim and thus affect your business, that can change what you can do with a print magazine. Now, I'm not naive. These are not utterly independent things. I can't sell print magazines without social media and without websites. So I face quite a bit of that. But a print magazine not only cannot be changed, did I tell you that people are deleting material from their websites as well to make them more attractive to the Google search engine crawlers and stuff like that? It's true. It's true. That's why stuff is disappearing. A search engine can't change a physical print magazine. A social media service can't change a physical DVD. Physical stuff has a permanence, it matters, and it is your best chance of getting something interesting that's free of influence from tech bros and third-party companies who have one aim, which is to line their own pockets. The people now doing magazines, the independents, God bless you, not in it to line their own pockets, want to make a living, but it's not all about let's see how we can make another billion. It's not some crooked, in my view, high score table where without any kind of, I don't know, with any kind of recourse for people like us, you can change things on a whim. I don't think it's crooked. I can't say crooked. I might get sued. You know, that's I am the ant, right, in front of the steamroller. That notwithstanding, I just think it's wrong. So much so I'll bang the microphone. I just think it's wrong. And I think the power that we have as readers at the end of it is to, when you search for something, don't click on page 1. The system has been gamed. If you're using Google, go to page 4 of Google, click on the first link there. Break the system. If you care for a magazine, I don't care whether it's mine, whether it's someone else's, doesn't buy it, support it, spread the word. If we do not fight for stuff like this, in about 10 years' time, what you'll have is Google. You'll have what Google suggests that we all want. Sometimes it's right, We won't have the print magazines. We won't have the individuals to any great degree. And even the independents out there fighting for this, they just won't get noticed. I think the situation we're in is fundamentally wrong. I think as human beings, not the machines, we do have the power. We've just got to use it. To all the people at those magazines and websites who are looking for work this week as a result of stuff entirely out of their control, that's nothing to do with their quality of the work, my heart goes out to you. I wish you the very, very, very best. I'm going to continue to fight this fight. And I tell you, once this is off, I'm going to go and read some of those as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Do all that like and subscribe stuff if you don't mind, because that helps as well. I've got to play the game to a degree. I will waffle about something a bit more positive next time I do a video.